This is the cast of Thanksgiving. We have Alex Armbruster, Gabriel Davenport, Jeff Teravainen, Joe Delphin, Karen Cleash, Nell Verlack, and Eli Roth.
I love it. The Sunday crowd that hung in there. Very good.
Yo.
What's going on, everybody?
That's right.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome to Nightmare Weekends, guys.
Check.
One.
Has there been a trip to the Beam yet here in Chicago?
No, I haven't even made it to the alien dildo store in the back of the convention, which I hear.
What?
And
We did.
Nobody
Yeah,
has
we went.
brought
We went
it
last
up
night.
for me to sign. I thought that would be like the most obvious.
Oh,
obvious
absolutely,
thing.
yeah.
But no, we haven't. We did make it to Giordano's.
We got some
Oh,
deep
very
dish.
nice.
Which
Yeah.
was great.
How is it? Was it anybody's first time with deep dish?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Almost all of you. What do you think? What do you like it more?
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Love to hear that. Well, cool, guys. We're entering back into Plymouth again. That's exciting news. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Going
Yes.
back.
Going back for more. Or you mean like flashback or going forward? With the
Going
sequel?
forward to Thanksgiving 2.
To Thanksgiving 2, yes. We haven't shot it yet. There's obviously a lot of cast and scheduling. We were going to try and do it in April, and then the fires hit, and it caused, obviously, people's lives were completely upended. So we know we're not going out until fall of 2026 anyways. So basically, right now, we just wait until it's winter. So it'd either be fall, winter, we're just going to figure out a block of time we can get everyone's schedule. It's basically ready to go.
Yeah.
We'll say, all right, these are the 4 weeks we need everybody, and we'll go do it.
Great. Awesome. Can you tell the fans the beginning process of Thanksgiving, how it came to be from concept to trailer to film?
Yeah, it was kind of a joke between me and my best friend Jeff. And Jeff, we grew up in Massachusetts in the 80s of like the golden age of slasher. Like we were 12 when we saw Silent Night, Deadly Night in the theater. It was like the greatest movie-going experience of my life. So we would, yes, shout out for Silent Night, Deadly Night. But we always wanted to make a holiday slasher film around Thanksgiving. We couldn't believe that no one had done it.
Yeah.
Because it was the most obvious one to us. Because everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, especially in Massachusetts, where it's like literally rammed down your throat. And we had all these deaths of like, oh, we could kill someone at the parade in a turkey costume, and they get decapitated and run around like a turkey with their head cut off.
Yeah.
And then, but we just never got around to making it. And then Jeff, you know, Tarantino and Rodriguez came to me and they said, we're doing this fake trailers for Grindhouse. And there was one, we had this crazy horror movie called Honey Pot that I wanted to do. And it was like, but there was like a whole, there's a Winnie the Pooh thing anyways. But then we did decide to do that, but I was like, oh wait, we should do Thanksgiving. That'll be the slasher film.
Yeah.
So we did the Thanksgiving, and then we did the fake trailer, and we're like, oh, now we don't even have to make the movie. And then for 15 years, the fans shamed me online and beat me up about it. And I was like, all right, if I don't do this, I'm a complete failure.
Yeah.
But we spent a long time writing the script, and here we are.
That's great. I know the John Carver mask went from just a normal face to the mask that we know today. How many concepts did that go through?
Well, it was pretty fast. I mean, we knew it had to look like John Carver, and there's only one image of John Carver.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're like, okay, this is looking a little bit too, you know, what's it called, Guy Fawkes. But I also wanted it to look, it can't be a scary mask, so it's got to be a mask that, man, there's a party in the dildo room. I can
You're missing it, man.
No, there's, it couldn't be, you can't make it's weird because it's scary in context. It's not a scary, it's supposed to be a mask that's given out to everyone in the town to celebrate the 400-year anniversary, but it's also got to be something that they would have given out to kids. So it's, it took a few tries to get it, but once we had it, we were like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, if we're going to make it scary, let's do the burn version.
Cool. Awesome. This question's for Alex.
Yep.
What was the biggest hit that you took on set?
The biggest hit I took on set was probably in the parade warehouse when Jessica and Bobby were
It
on.
was me.
They were on the tow truck, and it's when Patrick's trying to swing down with the axe on the back of the tow truck, and then it takes off, and then I go flying off the back of that. That was probably one of the harder hits. Luckily, in my role, I got to do a lot of the hitting. So it wasn't in terms of like the impacts for me. That wasn't too bad of a film, which was nice, a nice change for me.
Absolutely. Your swings were fierce.
Thank you.
Was that a direct from Eli, or did you just give it all your all? A little both?
Yeah, just giving it the all, pretty much. Yeah. Just trying to make it as much of a ferocious and just like the creepiest character I can possibly make it, basically.
Yeah. You did a great job, man.
Thank you.
It was awesome. This question's for Nell. What's it like being a final girl?
You know, thank you for that clap. It's a big title to live up to, but I'm honored to be considered one.
Yeah.
I think
You're in the legacy.
I know. I was talking to a few people actually this weekend about how they should bring all the final girls together.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I'm going to put that out in the universe and see if it comes back to me.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Gabriel, or Claude, I should say. That's an interesting real name in the movie. What's it like being the heavy of the group?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I loved it. I wanted to do a lot more.
Yeah.
To this guy especially. So well, who knows? Part 2. We'll see. Maybe I'll do a lot more. A lot more damage.
Gabriel did a lot of his stunts. I mean, the fight
Yeah,
stuff,
I love doing that stuff.
swinging at you.
Yeah.
You're really an amazing stunt performer.
That scream that you give when you get the cut on the arm, man. Believable.
I didn't even know how to scream. I wasn't sure like how I was supposed to scream.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've just never really screamed.
Sure, yeah.
In my normal life like that. So I was like, I don't know. Like I didn't know how I was supposed to scream from that hurt, to be honest.
Did Eli have to say, we got to do another one, man?
We did a couple takes.
Yeah.
Did a couple takes.
Good.
You got it. I mean, the thing with screaming is you can't rehearse it. And if you're not, unless you're, Henry Rollins or someone who screams on a regular basis, who knows how to warm up their voice, you really will blow out your voice in 2 or 3 takes. So whenever I'm scheduling, I never have anyone scream in an audition I don't want to listen to that, but you just assume, okay, if you can act, you can scream. But you just kind of have to blow it out and be ready to get it once or twice. And then if they then sort of plan to not have a lot of dialogue with them the next day.
Yeah.
Like even a couple days after Rick Hoffman, when we were doing the scene, where they realized the house is trashed. That was after his, torture, and he's like, you're like, oh man. So we had to let him rest up, get his voice, and he's like, I can't even project. So we did a few lines, but I let him ADR it later once his voice had healed.
Cool. This one's for Jeff.
Yes.
Everyone thought it was you. How did you keep the secret that it wasn't you while filming the movie?
I just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. Smart. Yeah. How did you enjoy working on the film, being with all the talent you were around?
This one is honestly special because every actor will say that after a film, but look at us, we're together again. I got amazing friends out of it, and Eli, I'll kiss your ass here, but it's true, you are my favorite director ever. He lets you run with things, and he hired you for a reason, then he lets you do it, and if there's a problem, he tells you, but you can't ask for better. And I did a project right after, which was so rigid, and I felt like I couldn't do it at first because it was just like, you have to say this line on this dot and over here. And it was like, oh man, what a difference. Thank you.
They're just being able to have fun and go for it.
Yeah, that's the whole point, is having fun, enjoying.
Well, the job of the director is really to cast the right actors. And you're casting for a reason, and you trust them, and you've written the script a certain way, and then you watch them bring it to life, and then you adjust it from there. And certain lines feel like repeated beats, and certain things feel, why this doesn't feel like a real conversation? Why would we do that? So what's great is when you have actors that are, number one, intelligent, and also just really good at improvising and just sort of changing things up in the moment, or knowing, you need actors that are generous, that really work well together. And that's one of the reasons I think that the movie works as well as it does, is that the cast really, you believe everybody. You believe the relationships, you believe the friendships, you believe the dynamics, and that's the cast. So as the director, once you cast the right people, you can just sort of roll the camera and get out of their way.
Yeah. You definitely got that dynamic in the SUV scene where all you guys are just having a great time and singing along. Like, it definitely kind of just, it's like when you watch Halloween and you see Laurie walking down the street with her friends. Like, I got that same kind of vibe through your crew, you know? And even the town, like all the deputy and the waitress at the diner, like, he definitely has that, like, old homey feel, you know?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. When you're in a small town and everyone knows each other, and that was, you know, I remember talking to Jamie Lee Curtis about that, and she's like, yeah, we kind of just made up that dialogue because we were 19 and they wanted us to just have it feel real. And I remember we rehearsed the Crunk is Dead, Duke Deuce. We asked Gabriel, like, what would you guys listen to when you're in the car? And they were like, Duke Deuce. Like, that was the first thing he said. So
Yeah.
we got Crunk is Dead because that was it, and then we just rehearsed it and improv'd it. And once we knew we had the music, it was really important. I remember, like, right up until we shot the scene that night, that afternoon, we cleared the song. Once we knew that and the Far Side, we could really kind of choreograph the scenes and have them singing along to it. Because otherwise, you just have people doing this, and you put the song in after. But when you know you can get the song ahead of time, then it always makes the scene better.
Blends, yeah. This question is for Joe.
Yo.
Dude, thank you for representing all of us metal and horror heads in high school. Like,
That was me in high school.
that was you in high school?
Yeah, big time.
Did you have the cutoff vests back then too?
It was mostly skinny jeans.
Sure, okay.
I was in a big emo phase.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Nice. Was there any weird turmoil between, you know, Stranger Things coming out with Eddie Munson and then you guys kind of looking a little the same?
The dude with the curly hair.
The curly hair guy, yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
He's badass.
He was
I
great.
loved his character so much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually I'm a fan of his. He's
Uh-huh.
awesome. But I was like, this guy's way cooler than me. So I was like a little.
No.
I was sweating a bit.
Yeah. He's not selling booze to kids, though. That's not fun. You know?
He's not as hardcore as McCarty.
Yeah,
Right.
Eddie Munson is like a sweet guy who's into Dungeons and Dragons. McCarty's like a fucking derelict.
I'm a total degenerate.
McCarty's like the kids that are like literally, you know, doing packy runs and like buying cigarettes and selling alcohol and just
Yeah.
offering
Making
kids
gravity bongs and stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
the McCarty part, selling alcohol to teenagers. He's actually the worst influence, but that's what's so funny. He's kind of lovable at the same time.
Now, at the end of Thanksgiving, there's a shot of you guys. You got McCarty, you're all there. Is that kind of like, without spoiling anything, is that kind of like a setup for the next film, like the kids we might see, you know?
Well,
We hope so.
if everybody wants to come back,
Yeah.
obviously these are the ones that made it.
Yeah.
I also think it was so freezing when we did that last shot.
Uh-huh.
Minus 20 with the wind. Everyone's
Oh.
just standing there. We actually, Jeff had a scene. There was some lines with Labelle and Chu walking out, kind of explaining the sort of iPad and he used the iPad, but like, and I remember you're like, everyone's lips stopped working. You're like, my face is frozen. I can't talk anymore. I was like, wow, it really. So literally, we couldn't even have dialogue because nobody could. It was like, you know, nature's Botox. Nobody could move your face.
Everyone was delusional. It was super funny. It was funny.
I was nice and warm.
Oh, yeah. Speaking
Who
of
gets
that,
that?
Karen, did Eli show you, did he show you the trailer beforehand? Like, did you know when he got casted that was the character you were going to be playing, like the roasted gal, or?
Yeah, I put two and two together that I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be the main course.
Nice.
Yeah.
Karen's always been hot in movies and TV, but
Yeah.
I thought we
There
would
we
just,
go.
you know,
Bum.
Yeah.
people want to see her, sorry, but maybe with her clothes off, but literally, and her skin. But I just took it to another level.
Yeah. And obviously you had to get a full body life cast, right?
We did do a life cast. We actually found a double for you. We cast Karen, and then we found a body double to do the life cast.
Oh, okay.
Because Adrian Moreau did the life cast in Los Angeles,
Uh-huh.
and it had to match Karen's body type. And we saw like 4 or 5 different people that were submitted that was a life cast body for her.
Yeah. Oh,
It
very
was my head, though. It was my...
It
no,
was
it wasn't really my head on the table, but it was my head that was cast.
Yeah, that would have been a
It's
difficult
like
shot.
head.
Oh, man. How is it working with the family in the movie? All your husband and...
Rick?
Okay, that was a hoot. Yeah, that was fun with Rick. I mean,
Yeah.
I spent most of my time with him. So obviously that was very funny a lot of the times. But we actually had like really good, deep conversations
Yeah.
Especially on the parade. That parade day, it took all day to shoot. So I think that was one of our first scenes together, and we had big warm-up jackets, right? And then every time they say "and rolling" and "action," right, you take off your jacket and then you film the scene. So we were really having this very deep conversation, Rick and I, and blah 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 blah, and then action. I take off my jacket. We keep talking. We're like waving, doing our thing, and then we get. 15 minutes it took for the float to get to the end, and then Rick all of a sudden goes, "Oh shit, my warm-up jacket's still on." I don't know if you know this, but we filmed the whole thing, and he forgot to take his big parka off.
Every now and then where you're like,
And he's like, "If Eli sees this, he's gonna kill me."
Yeah.
So yeah.
resetting those floats is a pain in the ass. But Rick is great. I mean, Rick has been at it for a long time, and both of you guys have done so many parts and so much experience that it was great. Like, when you have two actors at that level that are just fucking cool and funny, it was great. It was easy.
Yeah.
Those scenes were hilarious because Rick Hoffman is so funny, and he wants to keep improvising and just coming up with crazier stuff. Like,
Yeah.
he'll say the lines, but then he'll just go off in a million directions. And you're really funny too because you could just, react off him and then make fun of him and then jab him a little. And it was, we have endless dailies of you guys.
I know a lot of it didn't make it to the final
it was like
cut.
a 7-minute scene that didn't need to be that. It's like Jessica sneaking into her dad's office, and all of a sudden it's just like you making fun of Rick saying, you're like, "So wait, you play baseball? You're a switch hitter?" And he's like, "Well, I wouldn't say that." It's like, "You hit from both sides of the plate?" He's like, "Well, no." Like, it was just getting more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
Man.
fun. Yeah, it was a good time. Everybody was great.
Yeah. And you talked about how cold it was on set. The scene when you guys are in the town and it's very windy. You can tell on set. It's like the wind is blowing. But I'd imagine you wanted to keep that authentic feel of those shots, like rather than just filming it on a soundstage or going somewhere else in California.
Oh, I mean, I love kind of cold Canadian horror. My Bloody Valentine is one of my favorite movies. Black Christmas is one of my favorite movies. And I think that House by the Cemetery is another one. That was a big influence on it. And when I think of New England November, The Thing, of course, but like, I don't like to be cold. I don't think audiences enjoy seeing people freezing, but there is an authenticity to it and a mood of those 80s horror movies where they're not on a stage, you're not on a set, you're not filming in Georgia. You can tell there's fucking snow, and we had to, in the budget, we went over budget melting snow because the high school, we had a whole scene on the football field, and we had to keep pushing it, thinking it would melt. The snow never melted. The last day I left in May, it was snowing. It was like, we just got crushed the entire time, but it really gave it this great, especially when you guys are walking to the cars and like, the van pulls up and McCarty pulls up. That day too, that we were shooting.
That was the coldest day.
It was the coldest day
Bro,
ever.
that was
but
insane.
it really gives it this real, raw, authentic horror movie feel. It feels like you're in a winter slasher film, and I really, really love those films. And the cast were great, and we tried out, what's good is everybody was really prepared, and we're not like out there figuring it out. There's no one fucking around. Like when you're that cold and you just have a limited amount of time, everybody focuses, we get it done, and it's really all in the attitude. Anything can be, you can make anything a miserable experience or fun experience. And, we had a hilarious group of people. Like, I remember everyone just kind of hanging out when we did the car scene in the basement of the house. Just like, you went in and people were like, you set up a bunch of chairs, but of course they're actors. They're like cats. They're like on the floor, on the bar, upside down.
Right.
Addison's doing splits.
Addison was doing splits. Jenna's doing yoga. And Rick was like, it was funny because then there was my generation cast of like Rick Hoffman and then, Gina Gershon, and everyone was like, Patrick Dempsey. Everyone's like, it is so fun to be around a bunch of like 20-year-olds who like aren't jaded.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like having it like summer camp, having a fun time. They're like, oh man, remember when we used to like come to set and it was
Have fun.
and
Yeah.
making friends with everyone, and it was just a great energy. Everybody had a really good spirit on the movie. So the cold sucked, but nobody complained about it.
Great. No, I love that. Let's talk about Lizzie for a second. What a character.
Amazing, Amanda Barker. She's a Groundlings actor. And
Really?
She's from Plymouth. No, she's from Hanover. So she's from Hanover. So when she came and auditioned, her accent, she had such a She had such a wicked accent. She was like, "You can fucking suck my dick, John Cap." Like I was like, it's literally like every kind of bully, masshole girl I went to high school with and grew up.
And then she realized she was related to him, no?
Yeah, she's like a 14th, like 11.
Cousin or something.
Yeah.
That's wild.
She's related to John Carver. Even though John Carver had a nephew and niece, he had married twice and never had kids, but his, there was a relative, his sister had kids. So she's related to John Carver, like uncle, 11th generation, removed. But yeah, she was hilarious. She was so funny with all of them. She's like, do you want some garlic knots? This isn't Papagino's kids. Like,
oh yeah,
just really funny.
Even outside the store, the stuff that she's yelling with the other Bostonians are just.
Well, what's
insane.
great is you can set it up. We had Mika, who's Amundsen, who's out of his mind and hilarious. His entire life's mission was to be a masshole. He's a Toronto kid who watched The Departed over and over and over. It was like, I have to be in this movie. And then you put Tim Dillon and Chris Hannaford, who's also a comedian. So you have Tim, Chris, Mika, and like Lizzie, and everyone. It was just I would say Amy. It was so fun. Like the whole, Shaylin Griffin, who's playing the cheerleader, and they were all just hilarious. Yeah. So I was just going like, just go at Tim, and Tim just like calm down, and then screaming, "It's an American holiday! It's an American holiday! People!" It's just so. It was perfect.
Yeah, it must have been a fun night, I can imagine. Did you have a mass amount of people there, or how was that shot?
It was real.
Yeah, it was all real.
We had 600 people.
That's wild.
Yeah, and they're Canadians, so they're trampling each other, and they're like, "God," they're like, "Sorry, sorry." They're like so polite, the Canadians. They can actually pull off Americans. We would have literally turned into a riot, but we did it. We would rehearse it, but I remember that stuff outside the store. We just had like go, go, go. Like you walking with Milo. I mean, we had. It was great. When you do a scene like that, you can do crowd replication, but there's nothing like. I was like, why don't we just get those wide shots with 600 people, and then we'll have 200 for the trampling, and then like 150 for inside the store. Like we sort of. Yeah. But Alex was there. I mean, we kind of put. The gates, the barricades, the doors, like we had 20 stunt people that were around, and then for the rioting and fighting, you kind of work with the extras to see who can do it, but then you have stunt people slamming each other, and then extras that are like okay getting bumped into, kind of running around them and stuff. It was wild. Everybody had a great time. I was amazed. Nobody got injured, and it all looked amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we got about 20 minutes left before we open up the questions. I just want to talk real quick about the horror section. It's a new producing thing you got going on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, basically after Thanksgiving, I started seeing what Terrifier 3 did. I really wanted to get back to. Obviously, I had such a great time making the movie. I wanted to get back to doing more horror, but specifically more of the stuff that I did in the beginning of my career, like Cabin Fever and Hostel, and I wanted to do some unrated horror, stuff where I don't have any limitations. And seeing what Damien did, putting Terrifier 3 in and how it opens at $20 million, you're like, okay, we're here, where you can, and I've wanted to have my own kind of studio, for lack of a better word, where it's just, you could make your own horror movies, release them, put them in theaters, but someone said, what if you offered 10% of your company to the public? And I was like, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, you can do it so that you basically assign an evaluation and a stock price. People can buy into the company if you're selling 10% of it, and then we can use that money for productions. But we have backers that will back the movies. But that way, if people are buying stock, like when I buy Apple, I'm not getting sales from the iPhones, but your stock goes up. So what if everybody had a rooting interest? And this company, Republic, they said Robert Rodriguez is going to do it. Sam Pressman just did one through this platform, Republic, which is a trading platform. Before, you'd have to have millions of dollars to do this, but now you can have as little as $100. So it's a 90-day raise for $5 million. We have over 1,600 people that have signed up to do it.
That's great.
And basically, every movie, if the stock price goes up, people will benefit. So I liked that you could almost gamify it a little bit, where the fans could really have a rooting interest in the movies. But really, I wanted to be able to release my own movies unrated. And we bought this movie, Jimmy and Stiggs, that Joe Vigas directed. Joe's next to me over at the tables, and it's totally insane. It's this fucking nuts alien invasion movie. These two drug addict filmmakers that like they're just doing cocaine and drinking whiskey and fighting aliens. But it's like Enter the Void. It's like a completely, it really is like Bad Taste or Evil Dead.
Yeah.
He spent 4 years making this movie, shot it on 16 millimeter, hundreds of practical effects, like hundreds of gallons of blood, and it's insane. There's nothing like it. So now we're going to put it out in 1,500 screens, and everyone who's an investor in the horror section can root for that movie to do well. So it's a new way of doing movies. You know, I think that the studio system is dying. I think it's a broken model. I think that streaming has come in and taken everybody's residuals. There's no residuals anymore. And that's how everybody used to kind of live movie to movie, or really your profits were in DVD sales and residuals, and that's gone. So this is just a new way for fans to invest in movies if you've never been able to, and for filmmakers and creators to actually make money when the movie works.
Kind of taking it back.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that. All right, if we have any questions, you can walk right up to the mic there. Yes, you, sir.
Besides Thanksgiving, what's your favorite like holiday horror movie?
Wow, that's a really, really great question. It's our friend, I don't know if you saw his costume, he was Jason Voorhees. He's Jason Voorhees with cheese on his head. It's amazing. Round of applause for Jason Voorhees. I gotta say, I love April Fool's Day, because it's an underrated one. Fred Walton.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. Mother's Day, but Mother's Day is such a brutal
Mother's
movie,
Day,
and so
yeah.
it's like I watched that movie at my bar mitzvah, and I still have cousins who are traumatized by it. Even though it's nothing to do with Mother's Day, it's great. I love the Father's Day section of Creepshow, but you know, My Bloody Valentine. I mean, we love Halloween. How can you not love it? It's too many, but April Fool's Day is one that I champion a lot because it's underseen.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
I'm just hoping, especially with the new program, me and my mom love going to horror-themed movies on the day of the holidays when it's not Halloween, basically. And so with your model, like, is it still going to be releasing in theaters and stuff for people to go and see?
Yes. I mean, first, I agree with you. I think there should. My goal with Thanksgiving was to complete the calendar, so every month it had a slasher film. But now I'd like to complete the calendar for real, where like literally every single day you could do a slasher film out of anything, the holiday thing. I could watch them till the end of time. If I only did holiday horror for the rest of my life, I'd be thrilled. But the plan is to release them only theatrically. I'm not saying stuff couldn't go to a streamer or have it on a streamer eventually, but for me, horror movies are roller coasters. You cannot replicate, like you can pirate a movie, but you cannot pirate the experience. You can't pirate the adrenaline that you get watching a movie, discovering it for the first time in a theater with audiences when nobody knows what's going to happen. There is nothing like it. When you go see a movie and you don't know what those kills are, like we're all going to go see Final Destination, but like we'll all see, we don't know what's going to happen, and that's what's exciting. You can watch it on TV, it's not going to be the same experience. We as horror fans like to go to the theaters, but you know, the theater's the amusement park, and you know, I'm building the roller coaster. So it's my job to deliver those kills and those thrills, but they have to be experienced on the big screen for the first time. I think it's the only way to launch, you know, to make a cultural impact with a horror movie is the theatrical experience. I think streamers can do it with television, obviously Stranger Things and other things, but I think if you make a movie, you have to be in theaters for that thing to, if you want a shot at being in the pantheon of great horror movies, it's got to be theatrical release. So everything we are doing is only theatrical.
That's great.
This is more like related to the movie itself. Final product. What would you guys say were your favorite John Carver kills in the movie? One at a time. Go down.
My favorite one would have to be the beheading of Manny, the security guard, played by Tim Dillon, and then feeding the cat afterwards. That was one of my favorite ones. I'm a cat person too, so thought that was a good choice, and makes you like John Carver a little bit more, I think, after that scene too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I liked the clown scene. I really liked the clown scene where he chopped the head off. I like that one.
I liked hot Karen in the oven.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable.
I really enjoyed in the El Capitan diner when Amanda's face was smashed into the fridge, or the freezer.
Yeah.
And that peeling off and then jamming her in the sink. I couldn't stop like rerunning that in my head. It was so disturbing. It was like probably all-time favorite. Yeah.
With the skin.
Yeah. That was brutal.
Yeah, I'm with you with the peeling off,
Yeah.
but with Gina's scalp.
Oh,
Because that's
shopping
actually a legit fear of mine. My hair getting caught in the escalator. Every time I'm going up an escalator, I'm always just, for some of my intrusive thoughts, go with my hair. And then I just picture that. And then I saw that in the movie. I was like, oh my God, it's possible. It's possible. So thank you
That was good.
for traumatizing me.
Mine would be Yulia's. I loved the corn. And then also when she gets just sliced, that was the first.
That was the craziest day.
Yeah, that was the first one that I had done where I actually saw the prosthetics and everything happen, and then all of the blood, and we got sprayed with blood. And the first time that it happened, like, he used my reaction in the movie, and you can see I just go. And it was totally real. So that was awesome.
I'll tell you what about that scene particularly. So when we first were rehearsing that scene, there was this machine where the saw is, and there's just like this little hole there that stuff's supposed to come out of. And I went up to the guys that were making it, and I was like, hey, like, what's this hole for? And they're like, oh, you know, the blood's supposed to like kind of just like pour out, but it doesn't work. So I was like, oh, cool. No one told me. So I'm like, all right. So we're doing the scene in the action. And I remember Eli was like, make sure you land on your mark. But they always tell you that, like, land on your mark, get to your mark. But he was like, just make sure you get here, like, land on this mark. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna land on my mark. I go to land on my mark. This shit splats in my face. And I genuinely had the most genuine reaction of I didn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
So I'm there like, I'm not hearing cut. So I'm like, oh, we gotta just keep going. So I just kept going, and I was so confused because I was like, I was not expecting all that blood to splat on us like that. That was the craziest day.
Wild.
It was a good moment.
Yeah, there's nothing like giving your actors the blood facial. It's great. It's really like, you know, it's their reaction was amazing. And I also remember in that scene, and I love all the scenes, the dumpster kill, the oven kill. I mean, you always want to, you know, the trampoline, you always want to outdo yourself. But I do remember when we had the scene with Yulia where she was thrown on the saw blade, and Gabriel goes to get her, and we have these tubes that are like, and he holds her, and this spurt of blood happening, and you just went, Jess, what do I do? What do I do? And it was like the most painful moment. Like,
it's heavy.
It really made the scene because it was so real. It was just like, and you were just like just a complete shock of like the sort of feeling of total helplessness. And it was great that in that kill, you know, I like to do like a couple beats after someone's killed to see what would people do in that scene, like feed the cat or that. And just the way he was just like, what do I do? What do I do? I thought really made that kill.
Yeah. To piggyback off of Joe's, that kill with Liz, afterwards when she gets her phone, which is like the lifeline. Everybody goes to the phone and the lifeline. You can't swipe. It's
Can't
bloody.
swipe,
Just
yeah,
your
yeah.
fingerprints
Facial
are gone.
recognition.
No facial.
Everything's gone. That was ingenious.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that because every time my hands are wet, I can't use my phone. I'm like, I have to slice off someone's fingertips. And they're like, okay, go ahead, call. And they're like, okay, I'll just use facial recognition. Well, what if your face was all fucked up?
Yeah.
You know, when your phone doesn't recognize your face and your fingers don't work, it's like, you're like, I can't fucking use this thing.
That was the one part in the
It's a
theater.
brick.
Everybody just went, oh, of course. Oh, man. Next question.
Ain't no question this time. This ain't a question. I mean, should I have a question?
Sure.
He's back.
He's back.
Right on.
Nice. Good to see you. Next question.
Hello there, I'm Casey. This question is mostly for you, Eli, but anybody feel free to answer this here. I want to know, have you seen, and I'm sure you have because your knowledge is encyclopedic, Dead and Buried, and what do you think of it?
I love Dead and Buried. I think Gary Sherman's a brilliant director, big fan of Deathline, and you know, Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett are the two best writers. So if you want to be a completist, I think Jack Albertson's performance amazing. It's one of my favorite movies, completely underrated. But
Dude, thank you.
I love Dead and Buried.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. I talked to so many people this weekend, and you think of this convention, everybody know it. Nobody knows that one, so I'm glad that you like it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's weirdly one of the movies people haven't seen as much, but it's a great film.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next question.
Well, first off, I just want to say this is like a really, really cool cast. I got to party with a couple of you guys just a little bit.
over the weekend.
And you're still standing?
Yeah, I'm tired though. I am tired. But this movie was like an instant cult classic, and another cult classic is Green Inferno. And dude, that movie hit, like I've watched it a lot of times, and every time I watch it, it takes on a different meaning for me. And I don't know if you, because there's a very like on the nose intended, I think, overall message in that movie. But again, every time I watch it, kind of a long story, I'm definitely not going to get into it, but I was sort of going through something the first time I saw it. Weirdly enough, that movie made me feel better from what I was going through. And it's because I took something way different than like the on the nose point of the movie. Did you intend for that?
For you specifically, yes. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, look, I think my feeling with horror movies is blood stains your eyes. Like my job as a director, it's like I have a plant squirter, blood on. I'm like, oh fuck! Like when you see, sorry, there's children. Oh fudge!
There it is.
So,
good save.
So you know, that's when you leave a horror movie. Kind of all you should remember are the kills. If you walk out of a horror movie and you're not thinking about the kills, then you've kind of screwed up. So, or the scares, or whatever it is, at least with a bloody slasher film. So, but then when you watch it again, there's other things. You can notice the acting, the photography, and then there's the text, but then there's the subtext. That comes out, you watch it again and again and again. And that's what I love about great horror films like Dawn of the Dead, or whatever it is, like they always reflect the time in which they were made, but you don't always know what it's about. Like we really went into that in History of Horror, talking about sort of how the rise of The Walking Dead and the rise of homelessness after the banking crisis of 2008, displacing people, and this sort of general feeling of malaise and rising, tent cities rising up, and this sort of way it coincided with the zombie craze, and you really can't see it at the time, but looking back 10 years later, you go, yeah, there's definitely something there. So I like, the movies are always about something on some level, and even when you're writing it, sometimes you don't even know what it's, you sort of don't know. But Green Inferno was very much about performative activism and people just wanting to look good and not caring about the cause, but just caring about the reaction to the cause and how they look. And it's crazy how, at the time, you know, we're filming at Columbia with these kids protesting on the lawn to get the janitor's health insurance, and then, you know, during the encampments, the amount of times that activism has exploded, people are like, wow, this really is like, I'm not saying they didn't know, but like just the way sort of performative activism took off after that movie, it's kind of crazy.
Thank you. I'd love to go down each one and find out your favorite horror film.
For me, I don't watch a lot of horror, to be honest. I like making it. I'm not a big fan of watching it.
Yeah.
But the ones that do come up to mind, and the first ones I watched would be the Scream movies, and you know, like Paranormal Activity and movies like that really creeped me out at a young age and kind of steered me off of horror movies a little bit. But, yeah.
Thanks. I also don't really watch much horror films either because they terrify me. I have an overthinking mind that it'll replay and replay and replay, and then I'll put myself in the story, and then all of a sudden I'm in the oven now. So I don't really mess with the horror films. But I grew up off of like Paranormal Activity and like VHS and like Rec.
Yeah.
I love the found footage ones. Like as much as they terrify me, I would watch those. Like I loved being scared from that because to me I'm like, oh, this shit's real.
Right.
Even though it's not real, but I'm like, oh, this is real.
I love horror, and I love probably my favorite is Hereditary. I haven't watched it since I first watched it because it was so scary. I didn't want to ruin the magic, and I'm looking forward to sitting in my basement in the dark because I like to do it that way, and freaking myself out beyond belief. So that's probably my favorite. But there's so many, the others, and like The Exorcist. So
yeah.
I'm a big fan of demonic possession. I really love The Conjuring, but if I was to definitely pick one, the Blair Witch Project, because it's like often much scarier to not see what is like the source of what is terrorizing you. So the whole time you're just like, where is this witch? And spoiler alert, but you never see. You just like see like these poor people losing their minds. So watching that kind of thing is like, that's like a slow burn, and and it creeps its way and like stays in your mind and it lingers for a long time. So that's one that I definitely remember having like a profound effect on me because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Nice.
But you usually root for the devil or demonic entity in those movies, Joe, don't
Very
you?
true, yes. I'm a Satan worshiper.
For me, I think like the more gory a film is, the more it makes me laugh, which makes me maybe slightly demonic. But the ones that really scare me are like what people are saying up here is The Exorcist and anything that's like religious, paranormal. That shit scares me to death. But I find the gory stuff a little bit fun.
Nice.
I love watching older ones just because I feel like even though the special effects are more limited, they can scare you in different ways. So I just rewatched The Exorcist actually, and I loved that. And then for newer ones, I really liked Talk to Me. I thought that one was really great, and yeah.
I mean,
Are you into horror?
I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's not as fun as romantic comedies. I mean, you know, it's hard. Like you go through different phases. Like when you're a kid, when I was 3, it was Wizard of Oz, and then I saw The Exorcist at 6, and then it was Alien, and then, you know, you see The Shining, and that takes over.
Yeah.
But I recently, when I went to I hosted a 50th anniversary panel for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was my first time seeing it in 35 in a huge theater with like an insane sound system, and as many times as I'd seen that film, it was the first time I really felt like scared and tense, and I could only imagine what those audiences were feeling sitting through that experience, not knowing they were walking into a meat grinder. Just the relentlessness of that movie.
Yeah.
And the sound of that chainsaw, and just what Tobe Hooper and that team did, it's remarkable. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
It's a work of art. So right now I'm in a Texas Chainsaw phase.
Good. You ever visit the gas station?
No, I have not.
Oh, you gotta do that for sure.
I really do.
Awesome. One more question right here.
I wouldn't say it's a question, but it's for Eli, because I know, like the other gentleman said, you have a very encyclopedic knowledge of horror. One of the first movies I saw when I was really, really young, CBS used to show like horror movies on the weekends, and my parents, who were a little sadistic, would wake us up in the middle of the night, watch these movies, and send us to bed. There's this old Tony Curtis movie called The Manitou.
Yeah, The Manitous, yes, of course.
To this day, I've yet to rewatch it because I have the memory of it when I was a kid.
Never rewatch it. It's like prophecy. It's not gonna hold up. Movies that traumatize you.
It's scary.
Son of the Blob. They don't hold up.
It doesn't hold. I keep wanting to, with streaming. I know it's out there, and I'm just afraid to watch it. But because the memory of it when I was a kid, when we were sitting, me and my brothers and sisters would sit in front of this TV and watch this movie, I knew I could not sleep for like 2 days.
Great. And one day you will traumatize your own children doing something similar. It's called good parenting.
It is. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out to Nightmare Weekends here in Chicago.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Come see us. We're over at the thing. I think we're going to go back to the tables, and then we're out of here. So
cool.
I have a whole bunch of bootleg stickers and posters that I made up. They're incredibly stupid and pointless and a huge waste of money. So come by and say hi and enjoy them.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
And again, if you guys want to do this selfie, come up to the front. We're going to take a picture real quick with everybody. Yeah.